Hello, friends. Today, we have absolutely ridiculous examples of I do work here situations. First, a lady called the police because I was wearing a hoodie. I work at a somewhat large gas station. Our normal uniform is a pair of black pants and a bright polo with the store logo. So, it was pretty cold yesterday and I was wearing my hoodie because the store is built very cheap and isn't insulated. The ceilings are just bare metal. I was sitting in the chair for a couple of minutes by the eating area because it was pretty slow. When I saw a car pull in, I went back behind the counter. Here comes the delusional lady. She walked up to my counter and asked, excuse me, where is the cashier? I replied, you're looking at him, what can I do for you? The delusional lady retorted, I come here every morning and I've never seen you. You don't even have the uniform. Now, the reason that's relevant is because I always work late evening, so I've never seen this lady in my life. I probably haven't been awake before 2 p.m. in a year. Oh, sorry about that, it's just cold in here and the heat doesn't really work, I said. I then took off my hoodie just to prove to this lady that I did, in fact, work there. She then pulled out her phone as 2 other customers walked in and a line formed behind her. The delusional lady exclaimed, "This guy doesn't work here, I think he's stealing, I'm calling the police." She walked off to the sitting area and dialed the police. Meanwhile, I guess the other 2 people realized she was an idiot and let me ring them up. She watched the entire time, telling the police I was pocketing money. When they arrived, we ended up having to call my manager to the store to explain that I did, in fact, work there. They let her off with a warning and banned her from the store. The police wouldn't let the store stay open for the entire hour it took the manager to get there. I was never detained as it was obvious I worked there, but they insisted on talking to the manager. And also, did I mention that I am the assistant manager? This is the definition of I do work here lady. I get that she might be confused that the guy maybe didn't work there because he didn't have the uniform on and everything, but why would she tell the police that he's stealing or that he's pocketing money? That just seems very strange. I mean, that's something that's really easy to disprove. You just show them the cameras in the store and you can see that there is no pocketing of any money. So why would she go with that? Maybe it was just to get them to come down more urgently, who knows? It's a shame the whole place had to be shut down for an hour because that business lost an hour of business time because this lady just called the police on them. Story 2. I let my dad fire a 40-year-old douchebag who managed to crush an entire truck on his first day of work. A little background. My father owns a telecommunications repair company, and before that he worked in the industry for years. And since I hated daycare, I spent every summer helping him and learning to weld, rig cell phone tower antennas, shit like that. By the time I was 19 and dropped out of college, I decided to go get my certifications and ask my dad for a job. Well, he got a huge contract and hired 5 brand new guys with myself and another veteran that's been working for him for years as crew leads to run all the repair projects. I end up with this massive D-bag who got fired from multiple different physical therapy clinics and is now 40 and unhireable by any other industry. But he has a massive superiority complex cause he has a bachelor's and that somehow makes him better than tradesmen. On to the story. The roles are as follows. Me, CL, the other crew lead, and DB, the douchebag. We are on the first site on the first day of a job for a major client taking down old antennae and putting up new ones. CL and I drive up to the site after morning meetings at the hotel with my dad and the client over Skype, and we've brought lunch for everyone. CL realizes that he forgot his hard hat at the hotel and tells me he'll be back in half an hour. No big deal. It's a simple job that I've done before with my dad. I drop the sandwiches in the refrigerated server room and go over to D-Bag, who is using a trailer hitch winch to haul a brand new antenna up the tower to our other guys who are 700 feet up at the top waiting to install it. He's got the antenna about 150 feet up at this point. Me. Hey D-Bag, I think you've got your fasteners on backward. The fasteners have to be perfect because the higher the antenna gets, the more wind, the more tension on the winch. D-Bag. They're fine. Me. No, they're definitely backward. D-Bag, they're fucking fine. Go the fuck away, bootlicker. Guess that was his derogatory for me being the boss's kid. Me, no, they're backward, and by the time it gets up there, the winch is gonna slip and that antenna is gonna drop. Bring it back down and fix it. D-Bag. I don't have to do shit for someone who's half my age and couldn't make it through a year of college. Only reason you're here is your daddy's kid and can't make it in the real world. Right as he finishes the sentence, I hear the winch crack, so I grab D-Bag and run both of us into the server shelter, smashing all the sandwiches in the process, while the winch flies out of the hitch mount and the antenna drops like a rock onto the truck, carving straight through the cab and into the ground underneath. Me. Ah, fuck. So you can't rig right and don't have the common sense to put the pin in to secure the winch to the truck. D-Bag. There's no way that was my fault. Me. Not only is it your fault, but now I get to explain to both OSHA and our insurance how we managed to damage over $70K in equipment and $30K in our client's equipment in the first day on this job. I spent the rest of the day calling OSHA, my dad, our insurance, and my mother, our accountant, to make sure that all the right reports get filed and our asses are covered on all bases. I'm assuring the other crew guys their paychecks aren't going to be affected and that I'll get them more sandwiches. After the end-of-day reports are finished, my dad calls me up and tells me to fire D-Bag for negligence, so I go up to him. Me, hey, you're being let go, sorry, but this incident is just something we can't afford to happen again, and since it was obviously D-Bag, you can't fire me. CL. Pretty sure he can fire you, and if you don't believe him, I'll fire you. If you don't believe either of us, we can go see the boss tomorrow. DB. Fuck it, let's go talk to the boss. Right now, it's like 4 p.m. We drive 3 hours, interrupt my family's dinner, and then sit there smugly on the couch in my dad's home office while he literally screams at this guy about costing him $100K and maybe a lost contract and basically tells the guy he's filing a civil suit for negligence since I specifically came and told him he was doing something incorrectly. DB, what the fuck does he know? He's just a kid. Dad, I taught him how to rig a winch when he was 8, and he did it right. You're a 40-year-old man who managed to crush an entire truck. Get the fuck out of my house. Story 3. Nope, off to detention with you, while I am the fucking teacher. I had recently started out as a teacher. I was 27 years old when I had my first teaching job. I did some other stuff before, and of course, as the newbie, not everyone working at that school knew me. At the time, I looked a bit younger than my age, and I usually wore a pair of jeans and a nice blouse or shirt. I had been working there for a bit over a month when, one day, I was walking through the hallways of the school during class hours. I was picking up some paperwork and heading to the teacher's room, as I had a free period. An older man, I guess in his 40s, stopped me, looking kind of angry. "Excuse me, young lady, where do you think you're going? Why aren't you in class?" he demanded, his voice hard. I was taken aback. I'm not actually a student, but I began. "Like hell you are." He cut me off, his tone turning harsher. "I've seen you walking around with the older kids. Go to your class immediately." "Sir, I'm really not a student. I'm actually a teacher. I'm new here, so you probably haven't seen me, but..." I tried to explain, but he was having none of it. "Stop your lying. Go report to the office immediately. I will make sure your parents hear of this. And don't think I won't be looking for you in detention tomorrow," he thundered. I then went to the office as I needed to go there anyway to ask something, and because this guy was way taller than me and looking really angry. My colleagues in the office asked, "What happened to you?" I replied, "I got sent here because I was outside during class hours. Also, could you call my parents because a man expects me in detention tomorrow?" My colleagues basically died of laughter right there. And because there's usually more than one teacher keeping an eye out during detention, and thus I couldn't tell them who of the two males had given me detention, they actually sent me to detention the next day. I took some grading work with me. The unknown man who sent me to detention was looking smug when he saw me sitting in detention. After a few minutes, one of my colleagues from the office came in and, in the most theatrical voice you can imagine, introduced me as their new colleague. Wasn't it a great idea for our new colleague to come into detention while busy grading papers in order to help us out with unruly students just roaming the hallways during class hours? He said dramatically. The look on the man's face was priceless. For some reason, he never sat at my table during lunch. So that was it for today, guys. Some people really live in their own reality. Give us a sub and a thumbs up if you liked the video.